The drum was a little heavier. I always had a bruise on my knee. Mark played the French horn. Any other ones? Meditation. Oh, that's a great one. Yeah. So those kind of community, it's a way that we can connect with people. Now, as we look at the scripture today and the feeding of the 5,000 plus, because it said 5,000 men, right? We know that there were women and children there because there was a little boy there with fish and bread, right? This is one of the signs that is in the Gospel of John that witnesses to the identity of Jesus. Now, apart from the resurrection, this is the only miracle or sign that is found in all 4 of the Gospels. So it left a big impression on the disciples when this happened. And the story is an example of the kind of table fellowship that was at the center of Jesus's ministry. He did a lot of his ministry around tables. And now, of course, there weren't tables there, but they all sat in the grass and they had like a picnic, right? And he invites the crowd to break bread with him, to share a meal, to do something that's connecting them with him. Now, Jesus could have performed this sign by himself, right? He could have just said, oh, here it is. Here's all the food. But he chooses to use the boy's willingness to share what little he had as an example to others. Now, the disciples, they were a little doubtful at first, right? They're like, there's only this little bit. How can we feed all these people? It's going to cost so much money. But they witnessed the boy's generosity and the way that Jesus transforms and uses that generosity into something even greater. And in asking the disciples to gather up the leftover bread, Jesus both emphasizes the miracle that has taken place and invites them to participate in the community of table fellowship. They become participants in Jesus' work of serving and feeding. Now, through the generosity of the gifts of that community that was gathered there that day, coupled with following what Jesus is telling the disciples to do, the crowd is fed. Now, we should see some parallels here to what we do as Christians and when we gather. We gather as a group. We use our gifts and our abilities and whatever it is that we have, no matter how small or great, that we share and we serve others. We witness to the identity of Jesus by serving the community and mission. And when we're doing this, when we're sharing our gifts, we strengthen and we build community. And we can claim our own identity as people who belong to Jesus's community. It's not a community characterized by insiders or outsiders, but first and foremost by what it has received, the grace of Jesus Christ, and secondarily by the way it witnesses to that grace by serving others. It's important for us to recognize that Jesus understood attending to basic physical needs as an essential piece of evangelism and a tangible sign of God's grace. Now, as you participated in those groups you were sharing with me earlier, or even it could be a church group, has God provided sometimes, or all the time, could be all the time, more than what you needed. Has that ever happened to you? Raise your hand. Yep, has it? And when you have that providing, did you attribute it to God and what He's working and doing